How many famous war heroes can you name? How many war protesters can you name? Colin McCarthy likes to question this and our education system and the fact that we can name so many war heroes, but we can't name any war protesters. Despite me being in school for the longest time, I can only name 2 famous war protesters, Nelson Mandela and Gandhi. So, McCarthy likes to challenge the school education system. He believes that peace and violence are learned behaviors and we are taught to favor violence from a young age. So, one key component to McCarthy's ideas are war zone homes. Children are born with an open heart and mind. McCarthy himself says that shaping a peaceful child is easier than reshaping a violent adult. And I feel like that's very true. Most children who grow up in aggressive situations or homes tend to resort to violence as an adult. And it's a lot harder to manage that as opposed to just teaching a child the right way to handle emotions and anger. So, hatred can be taught to them almost immediately if they grow up in that environment. But at the same time, if you use a peaceful approach when teaching your children are more likely to develop a calm sense of personality. If you don't teach your children peace, everyone else will teach them violence. That's actually a quote from Coleman McCarthy. So a second component to McCarthy's ideas is war. War is an obvious cause of violence, and when war is viewed as a necessity, it's really easy for us to become dependent on war to solve our problems. We believe that in order to achieve world peace, we must first fight the violent causes in the world. However, if we just wage war on violence, and the idea is that waging war on violence creates peace, wouldn't we have created peace long ago? So a third component to McCarthy's ideas is the media. The media loves to focus on war and violence because we can't look away. It's human nature to look at whatever is in front of us. And if we are shown grotesque and heartbreaking images, we're going to realize that there is war happening in front of us. The media gives more attention to hate and anger than to peace because the obscener the gesture, the more attention it gets. Even if it's negative attention, it gets more attention than a peaceful protester with a sign. So the fourth and most important idea in Coleman McCarthy's theory is that the education system's views on history are really what's hindering us. So we are taught in history that war was a necessity, and that to have peace we must wage war first. We don't learn enough about the peacemakers. We only learn the names of Robert E. Lee, Napoleon, Ulysses S. Grant. We learn about those who are causing problems in the world. But in reality, we should be learning things about Emily Bach, Jody Williams, Jeanette Rankin, those who try and fight for the humanitarian right. So, a very key quote in this for me is violence, like all action, changes the world. But the most probable change is to a more violent world. That's a quote from Hannah Arendt. So, in conclusion, as we become more politically aware of the anger and violence portrayed in the world, McCarthy's views are more widely accepted. Peaceful protests are seen more and more in our generation than in our parents' generation. Education is focusing more on the facts rather than the idea that those who are waging war are correct. Our world seems to want to change. However, there are still those who are holding us back. Wouldn't it make more sense to prevent war than to manage the post-war damage? So former students of McCarthy believe he's changed their life. Some students give credit to McCarthy for the decision to change their career path, to become a vegan, for changed views on violence towards women and animals, and many other different lifestyle changes. McCarthy made students question who they really are and made them question the answers, as he likes to say, the answers as to why war is the answer. He makes them question why war is the answer for many people. He made them realize who they really are and where their hearts lie. McCarthy explains this as the self-made people tend to be self-demanding people. This obviously means that those who fight for what they want, they need in life, or what they want to see in life, are those who end up getting where they need to be.